I'm gonna go ahead and assume that if you've made it this far, you've decided, hey, this is something I'm interested in, or this is something I'm actively doing, this real estate investing piece. Now, if you're already an established investor or just kind of dipping your toe, you're gonna get value out of this video either way. What I've found to be the number one character trait that matters most between those who make it in real estate and those who don't is the same for acquisitions people. So if you're looking at starting to hire staff and turning this from kind of a really cool job or a solopreneur, like a side hustle, into an asset, into a business that runs like mine does, you may be looking for acquisitions people. So the number one thing I've found that determines whether or not a new investor is going to make it or not is likability. People have to like you. They have to connect with you. This is being a good listener, being presentable, showing up being clean cut, right? There's only one person that I can think of who I won't name that I was like, man, you're not cut out for this. Just did not come across, just kind of came across awkward, right? So for people who are extroverted, this is typically going to be significantly easier. When I'm looking for acquisitions people, I'm looking for the guy who's pretty much like life of the party, right? I'm typically hiring for likability and character traits. Are they a good person? Are they ethical, etc.? And I'm training the whole real estate investing piece. On your end, if you're learning the real estate investing piece, you may have to brush up on some of the likability stuff. Now, I don't typically recommend books. Why? You put it on the shelf, get the dopamine hit for having purchased it, never read the dang thing, right? One of the best pieces of advice that I can give you is if somebody who's in a position that's where you would like to be recommends you read something, do it. Back in 2016, stuff wasn't going super well for me, and somebody who I looked up to who controlled a private equity fund recommended, hey, you need to read this book. When I finally bought it and read it, after him recommending it over and over and over again, changed my life. That book was Miracle Morning. Something I recommend checking out. Now I'm recommending 2 books instead of 1. The one I would recommend for likability is an oldie but a goodie. It's a classic. It's How to Win Friends and Influence People. Now, you'd be surprised, things like eye contact, sitting back and listening, letting people talk. A lot of this stuff isn't things that come naturally. I can't tell you how many deals we've gotten where we're paying less than somebody else, we're not closing as fast. Their appointment was them in and out, okay, perfect, here's what the house needs, here's my offer, let me know if you'll take it. And ours was 45 minutes of getting to know them, figuring out what's going on, how they got there, where they want to end up, and how we can help bridge that gap, right? So we're able to use that rapport, use that relationship to get the deal done. I've found that the How to Win Friends and Influence People book is kind of the best tool for helping people brush up on that. Now, if you're somebody who's like super introverted, don't worry. This is definitely something you can learn. A good friend of mine is pretty introverted and owns several $1 million worth of real estate. So don't let that be like a hang up, or don't use that as an excuse or a crutch. You may just have to work harder on this than somebody who loves showing up and meeting strangers, right? This principle has been backed by, it's a great book if you don't have it, is now we're at 3 books, is the Little Red Book on Selling. Super easy. I think it's pretty old. My grandpa actually gave it to me when I was a kid. But the number one principle that determines if somebody is going to buy from you or sell to you is, do they like you or not? People buy and sell from who they like. So if you've decided that you're going to be an investor, you believe in it, this is a piece you're going to want to start to brush up on before you get out there and start to get in front of people, start to have conversations, start to get into negotiations, etc. Hope that helps. It's something that, I recommend being kind of a quarterly or semi-annual read. You've never really arrived when it comes to networking and connecting with people, but I would argue for folks, in my generation and those under me, this is particularly important because we're the cell phone generation, right? So making eye contact, making connections, getting people to like you is what is ultimately going to make you millions of dollars.